What's up, everybody? I'm Caleb also known as NFL Caleb 22, and this is Betting the NFL. And as always, I'm here with my co-host, Derek Weatherly, also known as DWeezy. What's going on, man?
Man, just another week here for the grind, here to get into these angles and lines and see what we can find because we're close. We're on the cusp. It's here. It's right around the corner. College is kicking up as we're speaking, so you know the NFL is right on the heels of that. And we're going to be here to give you our takes on what we think are some of the best plays when it comes to these divisions and win totals.
So that's exactly what we're going to do. That's what we've been doing throughout this preseason. We've been going through all the different divisions in the NFL, telling you what their odds of winning the division are. Their will they make the playoffs on their odds to make the playoffs, over and under win totals, and just what we overall think about these teams, each team in these divisions. And we'll be doing that. We'll try to make you some money because that's what we do on this show. That is the goal of this show is to make you guys money. And since we do that, we like to help you guys out. If you guys can help us out by subscribing to the channel, if you guys can like this video and join the Patreon. If you the description is in the link down below. If you'd like to join whatever tier that suits you, that'd be awesome. Would greatly support us. But now we will get into two divisions this episode. That is the AFC East in the NFC North. We'll start with the AFC East, and we'll go through each team, starting with the team that has the best odds to win the division, and that is the Buffalo Bills at plus 125. Their over and under win total is at 10.5. And will they make the playoffs? Yes, is at minus 245. So this Bills team 33, first in the AFC East last year, lost in the divisional round. It's third consecutive winning season for them, winning the division. Lost in the offseason. They lost a couple guys, Tremaine Edmonds, linebacker, Devin Singletary, trio receivers, McKenzie, Crowder, Beasley. But they added a couple guys, Connor McGovern, running back Damian Harris, Len Floyd, and they drafted in the first round tight end Dalton Kincaid out of Utah. So Derek, what do you with all that said, what do you think the chances are for the Bills to win the division, to go over or under 10.5, and will they make the playoffs or not?
I do think this is a very strong team. Over the past few years, we've seen this Buffalo Bills team under the McDermott era become one of the powerhouses when it comes to the AFC. Now, yes, they have been a bit of a bridesmaid, never the bride type situation, falling short a few seasons. But overall, this team has exceeded expectations in the past years, and it's understandable why this team might be a favorite when it comes to the division. I think they definitely can win this division, but I do think it might be a bit more of a down year. The Bills have struggled to find a real answer at the running back position. In the past, we've seen them have to lean on Allen at the quarterback position to provide some of that rushing attack and rushing threat. And I think it's possible we see that catch up with them some, but also not being able to have a legitimate threat of any kind in the backfield when it comes to running the ball does put more pressure on your pass game. And even when you have a wide receiver like Stephon Diggs, it's going to make things more difficult. And so I do think 10.5 is a good number when it comes to this team because I do think they'll win the division. I definitely think they'll make the playoffs. But at 10.5, it's hard to say if maybe they finish the season at 10 wins, right on the number. Maybe they get to 11. I don't see this being a team that necessarily puts up 12, 13 wins this season or more. So it's hard to look at taking the over with a number like 10.5, even talking about the Bills.
All right. I just want to say what's up to Jay and Brandon. What's going on, guys? Glad you tuned in.
Welcome,
Trying
fellas.
to make you guys some money right here. And yeah, I think I'm with you. I think they'll go a little lower, but that 10.5 is still low enough where I can still I still think they will hit that over at just over at 11 games. It's a couple game downgrade, but I still think they can do it. At a plus number, I thought this would be a minus number for the Bills as a clear favorite. But with a plus number, I wouldn't mind putting money on that plus 125. I do like a plus number for the Bills if you're going to give me it. If you're going to give me those odds. And for the playoffs, yes, I don't really, like I said before, I don't really like think the minus numbers on the playoffs because they probably will make the playoffs. So you're gonna have to put more money down to win more. So it doesn't really make so much sense for me. This like I said, this division is obviously gotten tougher with Aaron Rodgers coming into it. Um, but I think the Bills' run game can improve a little bit. Um, and also, last year they had 9 of 13 wins with 9 points or more. So winning those games by 9 points or more. So I think it was pretty smooth sailing year. Like I said, it's going to be a little tougher this year, but they're still a pretty dominant team overall. Uh, so I feel like they can hit that over. Definitely will like that plus number making winning the division. So I'm still pretty high on the Bills, even though, like you said, they might take a couple steps back, but it's not anything too drastic for the Bills.
Yes, and
All right,
something that might be
we'll
worth
get to the
earmarking is say the Bills open the season with maybe an early loss in the season or don't look as good as maybe perceived. You could even see that plus number for that 10.5 go up, or maybe even the number drop down to a flat 10, creating that push possibility for people out there that might be looking at the over for a team like this.
yeah. All right, we'll move on to the second team with the best odds, and that is the New York Jets with plus 250. The Jets team was 7-10 last year, fourth in the AFC East, did not make the playoffs. They started good; they had a 7-4 record, and then completely collapsed. They had a six straight game losing streak. Had a really good defense, had a bad offense because of the QB situation. That is why they traded for Aaron Rodgers in the offseason. Obviously, signed Alan Lazard and Randall Cobb, a couple of his buddies, and they signed also Dalvin Cook at running back. And then, you know, this team, they got a lot of hype on them, but I don't know if I'm buying totally into this hype. I feel like Aaron Rodgers took a little step back in his play. I mean, he probably had his worst year last year. I think he'll have a better year, but this is too tough of a division and too tough of a conference as a whole to say, oh, I'm going to go and take 9.5 is their over and under, and to make the playoffs is minus 105. To say they're going to win double digit games in his first year with this team, I'm not sure about that. I like a 9 games win for them, which would hit the under. I'm gonna take the under. Um, at plus 250, I could see maybe because I can see any whether it's the Bills or the Dolphins can slip a little and even them winning the division. So I would actually take a plus 250. I like plus numbers on this when it's a competitive division. I like to take a plus number on multiple teams if you're going to give it to me. But overall, on the under, I think they, I would say the under on the totals, and I would actually since there's a plus number on no, I would say no on playoffs. I think it's too tough of a conference for them to make it to the playoffs at 9. So if you're going to give me a plus number on no, I'm going to take that.
Yes, I'm right there with you because I am fading this team. Yes, Aaron Rodgers was an improvement over their quarterback position that they had last year, but in my opinion, Aaron Rodgers has been dropping off over the past few years, and some of the issues that we saw in Green Bay was not solely due to a lack of talent surrounding Aaron Rodgers. And yes, there are some talented pieces in New York with the Jets, and I don't think this is necessarily a bad team. If we were talking about this team with this roster in another division, I think you could make a much stronger argument for them to potentially make the playoffs. But being in this AFC East, where the Miami Dolphins have turned things around in the past few years, we've seen the Patriots, even in down years, prove that they can be a formidable team, especially in a divisional race. I'm not big on the New York Jets coming into this season. It's the type of situation where you're going to have to prove me wrong. And even me personally, I think that number, them being second in the odds to win the division, is a bit inflated. Possibly the books trying to insulate themselves some because the Jets can find themselves being a public team when you have a situation come about like adding an Aaron Rodgers, where even more casual bettors might be throwing money down on the Jets just simply because they're a fan. I do not think they should be. I believe Miami should be the second team in these odds. So, you know, that said, I do think there's a strong chance they miss the playoffs. If we see two teams come out of this division make the playoffs, I do not see the Jets being one of them. So definitely under 9.5. Wouldn't touch them as far as the division, and no one making the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great point that you made, saying because of the hype, of the public is going to roll in. Public money is going to roll in on the Jets just because there's a lot of hype around them. They think they're going to do well this season. So I think, yeah, that's why they're at number two in the divisional odds, um, just because all the money that's coming in on them. Um, but yeah, the Bills are just too tough. They're probably going to win the division. But like I said, there's always. I don't think it's out of the realm that they could win. That's why I would put just a small bet, just in case it's good enough odds, with a plus 250 that you could, even with the small bet, you can make some money if because it's not impossible for them to win the division um, with Aaron Rodgers at quarterback. All right, we'll get to the Dolphins, who are the third um, best odds to win the division at plus 300. The over under win total is at 9.5 as well. Will they make the playoffs? Yes, is at minus 105, actually slightly better odds than the Jets. Um, they were 9-8 last season, second in the AFC East, lost in the wild card round. They started 8-3, then obviously lost five straight to suffered multiple concussions. Skylar Thompson starting in that playoff game in the offseason. They traded for Jalen Ramsey, signed Dave Long, uh, also guard Dan Feeney, and lost Lane Roberts, a linebacker, Eddie Bridgewater, and Trey Flowers at defensive end. Um, but what do you think about the Dolphins this season? Um, yeah, what is this one division? Over under playoffs? What do you think?
I definitely think we can see this team challenge the Buffalo Bills when it comes to the division. It'll be interesting to see how the season goes towards the end. This might be one where they might stay neck and neck through the first half of the season. I think it'll be that second half of the season where we see someone separate from the other. But if if we're not talking about the Bills winning the division, I definitely put the Dolphins as a very live team to win the division, definitely to make the playoffs. I'd want to say it's hard to put them at double digit wins. And mainly a lot of that doing how much confidence do you have if Tua can stay healthy? And not even in a comical sense, but literally one more concussion could in this man's career, in this man's life potentially. I mean, there's no telling. And I don't want to sit here and even attempt to speculate, but anything that's going to remove a player from the field and their ability to play for the team is definitely something you have to look at. And so I think that's part of the reason why we see these division odds as high as we do, because it's easy to make the argument that if Tua goes down, this team may not be able to keep things together to do something like cover a win total of 9.5 or to make the playoffs, regardless of winning the division. Um, if we're talking about a season where we got Tua for a full 17 games, under a handicap like that, I would have to say that yes, they most definitely make the playoffs. I think they'll be battling it out with the Bills. So I think it could be worth it to put something on that plus number to win the division. And, you know, but sadly, all that's going to hinge on the likelihood of Tua staying healthy. So you want to talk about a season sweat, you're going to be sweating every time Tua's out there snapping the ball. So good luck to you if you play the Miami Dolphins this season.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with you on that. It will depend on to his health this season. I'm gonna bet. That's basically what the bet is. Will he stay healthy? Will he not stay healthy? That's the bet you're making. That's what you're putting money on. And I'm gonna put it on money and then say that yes, he will stay healthy. Um, he's been doing that jujitsu or whatever whatever he's doing. He's doing some martial arts
Well, now I
to
will
not
say there
get
is
another
actually
concussion.
it makes sense. Learning how to fall down is actually a thing. I know it sounds hilarious, it sounds silly, but whether it be something like martial arts or even something like in cinema with stunt actors, learning how to fall down is a literal thing and could be something that could actually help not only Tua but a lot of quarterbacks, because knowing how to go to the ground and keep your body from landing on specific areas and that force being focused on the one tiny area, that can not forget reducing an injury, potentially avoiding an injury altogether because you rolled one way instead of the other.
Yeah, definitely. So hopefully that works. Hopefully it works for him. Hopefully he stays healthy because my money's on him to do so. I'm gonna say it's a slide over. It's a slide over. I'm gonna take that they get 10. I think they can get to 10 wins. Definitely plus 300. I think that's a good bet to put some money on. Still think the Bills are obviously the clear favorite. Going to put most of the money on there, but I don't mind putting a little money on the Dolphins at plus 300 because that's a good amount that you can win there. At the playoffs, minus 105. Um, it's yeah, I would probably put it on yes. Because I think it's not too much that you have to put down. You're still winning. You can still win good there. So even if it's the minus number, it's not like a crazy minus number. It's minus 105. That's good enough for me. So I do think they make the playoffs and have some chance to win the division with their 10 wins. All right, we'll get to the last team in this division with the worst odds. Um, at plus 800, the Patriots come in. At 7.5 is their over under win total. In playoffs, yes, is at plus 240. Um, the Patriots went 8-9 last season, third in the AFC East, missed the playoffs. Mac Jones was a place for a couple weeks during the season. After starting 6-4, they lost 5 7 games. That's how they have missed in the playoffs for a second time in 3 years. In the offseason, lost Marcus Can tackle, running back Damon Harris, Jacoby Myers, and then they signed Juju Smith-Schuster, tight end Mike Gesicki, Ezekiel Elliott, and then drafted Christian Gonzalez, cornerback out of Oregon in the first round. And the Patriots, they have the hardest schedule, one of the hardest schedules in this um, in this division. two teams of the seven hardest schedules went. And I do believe in this strength of schedule because two of the teams um, of the seven hardest schedules last year went to the playoffs, and six of the seven easiest schedules went to the playoffs. So I do believe in that. I do believe in the strength of schedules, and they have one of the tougher ones. They play the NFC East, which is three has three teams that made the playoffs last year. Um, so I think it's going to be a really tough road. Just playing them. In the first three games, they got the Eagles, the Dolphins, and the Jets. So I think that those all could be losses. And after the bad start, that I don't think it's going to get any better. I think it's going to get worse for them. And then they're ending up not making the playoffs. So I'm going to put yeah, I'm not going to put any money on them to make the playoffs. I'm going to pick the under the 7.5 and at plus 800. Even that's not good enough for the three teams that are above them. It's just not even worth it to put any money on plus 800 for them to win the division. And just want to say what's up to Jose. What's going on, man? Glad you tuned in. So what do you think about the Patriots going into the 2023 season?
Honestly, I do believe it is a dangerous game trying to fade Bill Belichick, but given what we've seen, the current state of more so the offense, I do believe they've held together the defensive side of the ball a little bit better. Um, but it's that classic quarterback syndrome that you see in the NFL. You know, more or less, you had a guy for a while, you were able to do it, you were able to do it well, and you had to move on from that guy. And they thought Mac Jones was the answer, and I'm not sure if he is. I'm pretty sure there's a number of people out there that truly question if he's that guy to carry him forward. Now, it's highly interesting to see what'll happen in the next coming weeks because Mac Jones is the only quarterback on the roster at the moment, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, Zappy got signed to the practice squad, um, but it will be interesting to see how things play out over the course of this season. But the book's putting up a number like 7.5, and where I'm looking, actually, I see a flat 7, which means likely there's a chance somebody came in and dropped a lot of money on the Patriots to finish under that 7.5.
Yeah.
And I, if I got to put money on it, I do not think this team can go out and get 8 wins. Can they go out and be competitive? Yes, but as you said, strength of schedule is a thing for a reason because while it may not dictate exactly how many games you lose or win, it I think it impacts more of those 50-50 games that you come across in the course of a season where not only is your opponent a little bit tougher, but even over the course of multiple games, the grind, you're playing consistently a better team or a more competitive team, and that kind of grind can weigh on you. And so I got to go under 7.5. I don't think this team can make the playoffs, even in a wild card instance. I mean, we could be talking about the Patriots possibly as a top 5 pick in the draft next year if things don't go right. You finish, 7 isn't a very high number to begin with, and you finish in that range of 4, 5, 6 wins on the season, you could be legitimately talking about a top 5 pick. And for Patriots fans out there, talking about a top 5 pick with next year's draft class could get interesting when you're talking about a team that might be a quarterback away from being able to become that playoff team that goes out and wins 9, 10, 11 games on a season. So as far as this season, I'm definitely fading the Patriots. As far as that win total, no, they ain't gonna make the playoffs. Um, Putting money on them to win the division, y'all have heard me say it before. You better off just donating that to charity.
All right. Well, that'll wrap up the AFC East division. A lot of agreement there. A lot of agreement that we had in that division. We'll see if we have the same agreement in this next division, NFC North. And the first team we'll start with the best odds to win the division is the Detroit Lions at plus 135. Their over under win total is at 9.5, and their odds to make the playoffs, yes, is at minus 170. The Lions last year went 9-8, second in the NFC North, no playoffs though. Had a horrible start to the season, 1-6, and then 1-8 of the last 10 games, but just failed to make that playoff due to tiebreaker in that last final week of the season. And all season, we lost DJ Shark, Jamal Williams, traded DeAndre Swift, lost Jeff Okuda, and drafted Jahmyr Gibbs in the first round out of Alabama. Um, but for me, they just have too much hype around them. I think they're a little overvalued with that 9.5 wins and being the favorite. I mean, like I said, they had a terrible start to the season. I mean, you can look at what they did in the second half and be all excited about, but don't forget, I mean, that they were bad. They were a bad team for half the season there. That's why I just feel like I don't think you can just all of a sudden switch up and say, "Oh, this team is a great team that's going to win this division." Like I just don't see. I don't see how they were still a bad team. So I'll see the under. I'm going to take the under on the 9.5 to win the division. Yeah, it's still a plus number, so I'll take it. I'll put a little money on it. But for the playoffs, I'm going to take no. I'm going to say no because they have a plus number on no. So I'll take the no on the Lions. Um, they have the receiver core was kind of hindered a little bit with that whole betting scandals. A lot of the receivers taken out. Um, they still have Amon-Ra St. Brown, but after that, not much. You know, so I don't think they're. I think they'll probably have another rough start, and at the beginning of the season, and their defense is still bad. I mean, their defense really didn't improve either. So that was still a big thing that was holding them back last year, and I think it's going to help them back this year. So I'm just not too high on the Lions this year, like everybody else is.
Yes, I do think people may have missed the lines when it comes to that bubble pop. Folks, if you was riding with the Lions, I told y'all last year, take the over. They were going to be a breakout team. We saw it happen. Now you see 9.5 as that win total, and it's too high given what we've seen out of this team. Yes, there was a good bit of turnover, and there will be some questions offensively going into this season. Last year, I think there was a lot of weight put on the expectation that Jared Goff would go out there and almost be a complete failure and flame out, and that's not what occurred. Um, but to say this team is going to go out and win double digits, I definitely think that's putting the number too high. I think you got to smash the under on that 9.5 win total. I would be more inclined to look at this team as a possible winner of the division. The fact that they're a favorite, you might look at this team and potentially wait for the season to open, wait a week or two into the season, maybe three. If they lose a couple games, you may see them drop in those odds and be able to get that plus number a little bit better in your favor. Um, but yes, I definitely think they come in under that 9.5. Now, I do believe this team will be interesting to watch when it comes to the wild card, um, because I don't think we see a major regression out of the Detroit Lions, though. I do not think that they will go out and put up double digit wins. I see this team probably finishing somewhere in that 7, 8 uh, game wins on the season, and you can definitely make an argument for a wild card berth with a win total like that, depending on how things shake out. So the possibility for them to make the playoffs, I would lean more to the yes because I don't think we see major regression to what the old Lions used to be, where they walked out there and won 2, 3, 4 games on the season. So you like I said, under on that 9.5. That's way too high.
Okay, both agree there. Move on to the second team with the best odds to win division, and that is the Minnesota Vikings at plus 260. Their over over under win total is at 8.5. In the playoffs, yes, is at plus 120. Its Vikings team went 13-4 last season, first in the NFC North, lost in the wild card round. Had one of their best starts in history through 9 games at 8-1. Then went 5-3 afterwards. All year they had the criticism of this team was overrated. They were getting a lot of one-score games. They had a really bad defense. But they and then it was ultimately proven right in the playoffs that they were overrated because they got beat by the Giants. But in the offseason, they lost Adam Thielen, linebacker Kendricks, tight end Irv Smith, and linebacker it's Jarius Smith, and running back Dalvin Cook. But they added Marcus Davenport, Williams, tight end Josh Oliver, and drafted Jordan Addison in the Tennessee. Um, I was agreeing with that sentiment last season that they were overrated. I felt that same way, but now I kind of feel they're underrated. I kind of feel they're undervalued here at 8.5 wins. I mean, they it may have been by one score, but they still went out there and won those 13 games. Do I think they'll do that again? No, but they don't have to do that again because it's only at 8.5. They only have to get to 9 this season. So if they won 13 last year, I don't see any reason why they can't get at least to 9 this year. I mean, yes, Dalvin Cook is a big piece missing from them, but it's not. I mean, a running back's just not that much of a downgrade as a quarterback would if they lost Kirk Cousins. I mean, it's just not that big of a shift for a team to go down from 13 to less than 9 wins. I just don't see that. So I'm going to take the over. I'm definitely going to take the over. I think they do win the division. Um, Even if they get 9-10 wins, I think that's good enough to win this division. So I'll take the plus 260 all over that, and I'll take the 120 to make the playoffs. I'll put big money on that. Because, like I said, they were still first. They still won this division. I still think they're a pretty good team. Maybe not as good as last year, and they won't get all those one score wins, but they'll get a decent amount of them, and that'll be good enough to I think win the division and go. And what do you think about these Minnesota Vikings?
Well, looks like we finally found one to disagree on because I am fading these Vikings.
Okay.
I do honestly. I think this team could possibly even finish last in the division, depending on how well we get a turnout from the Packers. But I it, there, as you said, there was a lot of all the talk and hype from last year about them being, you know, basically a fraud, and that's what we saw happen in the playoffs against the Giants. Yes, they won a lot
No.
of games that were coin flip, and I think offensively there's going to be some regression losing a player like Dalvin Cook. Me personally, I don't believe in the consistency of Kirk Cousins when it comes to the course of a season. That with the number where it is, sitting at 8.5, I struggle to find 9 wins for them. I do think the division will be a little bit better than people are perceiving. Even though I said the Lions may be a little bit overvalued, uh, I do think Minnesota's going to have issues with every team in the division. I don't think they'll necessarily sweep or dominate the division from that aspect. And that said, I'm definitely going to be fading them. I do not think they make the playoffs. Um, and I'd almost be interested to see what the odds would be on them to finish fourth in their division because, as I said, in my opinion, I think when it comes to the worst teams in this division, we're talking about the Packers and the Vikings fighting for that honor.
All right. Big disagreement on that one. So it's you have to go. You have to choose where you go with that one. But we'll get to the next team, which is the Packers at plus 375 to win the division. Their over under is at 7.5. And to make the playoffs, yes, is at plus 170 as well. This team went 8-9, third in the NFC North, no playoffs. They had a good start, 3-1. Then fell apart, 5-game losing streak. Then when after that they went 4-8. They won four straight, but they lost the final game to miss the playoffs. In the offseason, obviously the big miss Aaron Rodgers traded to the Jets. They lost their safety Adrian Amos, and of course there a couple of the receivers, Cobb and Lazard, who also went to the Jets. They lost a couple tight ends with Tanyan and Lewis, and drafted Lucas Van Ness, defensive end out of Iowa. They have a lot of young receivers. They're inconsistent. I don't think Jordan Love is really anything special. I don't think he really has it to really do anything in this league. I think that's why they didn't get rid of Aaron Rodgers sooner. I think their offense as a whole is going to struggle. Being relying a lot on those two backs, Aaron Jones and um, uh, AJ
Austin
Dillon,
Dillon,
and
AJ Dillon, yes.
yeah, AJ Dillon. And then I think the under is the play here, because I don't think they're going to be very game. Um, and I wouldn't even I don't think they really have a chance to win the division. Even with those odds, I'm not gonna put any money on them, and I'm gonna say no to the playoffs. I just don't think they're gonna be a good team. I don't believe in it. Jordan Love, I don't believe in this team. I don't think they're going to be good. Well, but you give them any chance. Win the division, get that over, or make the playoffs.
It's hard to put them down as a team to make the playoffs, as you just heard me say. I do think there's a possibility that they could finish in the in the cellar of this division. You know, with a total like 7.5. Where I'm looking, it's currently juiced to the over, but that could be some due to the popularity of this team and having a diehard fan base like the Packers do. It's not unimaginable to think that there are some Packers fans that might be very bullish on the season, regardless of any statistical information or anything like that. Everybody likes to support their team, and so yeah, I'd have to lean to that under 7.5 because you know yes they have a few pieces in the backfield when it comes to the running back position, but at the same time, some of the issues that this team faced last year, even with Aaron Rodgers on the ball, still persist. And so the real question will be, do they have enough around Jordan Love to help him excel and succeed as the starter of this team? Because you don't necessarily you don't need somebody to go out there and be Aaron Rodgers if you put together a solid roster around them. And to put the expectation on someone to go be the player that was here before, I think is a very poor decision to go about things with. And so, you know, 7.5 wins isn't a high number. This is a team that not too long ago was a powerhouse in the NFC, and slowly but surely we've seen them drop down further and further with each season. And under 7.5 is definitely, it's not as low as some of the numbers you'll see, but I'd have to go with the under on that 7.5. Don't think they're making the playoffs. Winning the division, donate that to charity.
All right, we'll get to the last team in the division. That is with the worst odds to win it, and that is the Chicago Bears at plus 450. Their over/under win total is at 7.5 as well, and their odds to make the playoffs, yes, is at plus 175. They were 3-14 last season, fourth in the NFC North. no playoffs, obviously. They started 2-1 and then lost 13 of 14 games thereafter. 10-game losing streak to finish the season. And in the offseason, they lost the running back David Montgomery, their tackle Riley Reef, and added DJ Moore, Tremaine Edmonds, Nate Davis, guard, and linebacker TJ Edwards. And then they picked up the Packers tight ends. Um, but they traded the number one pick and got Darnell Wright, tackle out of Tennessee. So, with all that said, what do you think about the Chicago Bears this season?
I got to be a little bullish on them. I do think getting some people out there may not look at DJ Moore as a number one wide receiver, but when you compare his numbers up against even some of the top players in the league over his time since being drafted, he's actually one of the top receivers in the league. Whether you're talking about when you're talking about yardage, so getting a guy that can not only get his hands on the ball but also create that yak yardage that everybody loves to see, especially in this fantasy world that we all take part in. Um, that's going to be an added threat that was not in Chicago before. Regardless if we're talking about Justin Fields moving the ball with his feet, or um, it may be a bit of running back by committee, but I do think Khalil Herbert is a shifty back that can help add a wrinkle when you're talking about potential option plays with a player like Justin Fields. So his number at 7.5, I think they could go over that, honestly. As far as picking maybe a bit of a long shot to win a division, while I will not get on the hype train with everybody else out there that Chicago is outright a favorite to win the division, given the plus number that you're going to be looking at, whether you're talking about making the playoffs or, well, I don't know, you might not have a plus number. It may be about even there. But definitely when it comes to winning this division, you're probably looking at a pretty juicy plus number that you can play. So if I had to pick a long shot to win this division, I'd definitely go with the Bears before going with a team like the Packers or the Vikings. As I told y'all, I do think the Lions may be in a strong suit, but I see it being a two-team race between the Lions and the Chicago Bears to win this division. So have to lean to the over. You know, might have to touch those division odds to win it there, and I definitely think there's a strong chance they make the playoffs.
All right, we got another big disagreement once again here. I don't like the Bears at all. Um, I like the under, way under, because I think they're going to be picking number one again, at least having the number one pick once again. Because I think they're going to be terrible because Justin Fields is still their quarterback, and he has shown that he doesn't win any games. I mean, that's been he's at a starting position for almost two whole seasons, and he's not won very much in this league, and that's not going to change this season as well. Never believed in Fields. Never believed him in college, and then don't believe him. Thought it was a terrible pick for them, and it's shown with two very bad seasons with him, shown to be true. That he's not very good, and that's going to continue on this season. Um, they're still bad. I don't think signing a couple linebackers is really going to help there because their secondary is still trash. Their defensive line is still trash. Um, so they may have the offense. Their defense is going to still give up a ton of points, and he ain't going to be able to compete with that. And then I'm going to definitely take them to not even with the minus number. I'll take them. I'll take the playoffs with a no, because I'm that confident in that they will not make the playoffs. Um, and then no chance of them winning the division at all. Because I mean, like I said, they're gonna be one of the worst teams once again, and they'll be thinking about moving on from Fields after this season. They probably will. Um, so yeah, but hey, uh, like I said, you can take my way, you can take Derek's way. Either way you go, as long as it makes you money, that is the point of this show. You know, I'm not going to get offended if you go against me. If you fade me, I don't think there's going to take any offense if you fade Derek. As long as you're making money, that's all I care about. Um, because that's what we try to do on this show. But Eric, we'll wrap this up and we'll give us your favorite pick of either one of these divisions. What are you putting a heavy amount, a good amount of money on?
Like I said, you'll disagree with it, but I definitely think Bears to make the playoffs. Currently, where I'm looking, there's plus 200, and given the current wild card format, having those three slots, I would have to lean to yes on the Bears making the playoffs at plus 200 at being my best play for this division. Because even if they end up coming up short on something like winning the division, it definitely keeps that angle live to make the playoffs. And so plus 200, I definitely like that number.
All right, and I like my favorite one is Vikings over 8.5. I think is a very low number for them. Like I said, for a 13-win team last season, I just don't think the drop off is going to be that huge. I mean, that's a very big drop off for them to have. And I just can't see that. So I got them around 9 wins. Um, uh, so that's my favorite pick. I'm very confident in that pick. And I put a good amount on that to hit the over on that one. But that is the show. So you can tell everybody where they can find you, DWeezy.
Yes, y'all can reach me at Backyard Action Media here on YouTube. Also on Twitter /X/ whatever we're going to end up calling it. Backyard Media, BACYAC. And this Sunday, I'll be doing the second episode of Against All Odds and be touching on something that maybe a lot of people haven't heard about, simply just because gambling news, even though it involves one of the biggest names in sports industry in the globe, probably haven't heard about. And so come by and check out who it is that is partnering up with a sportsbook operator out there and going to be putting their name on potential sports books all across the country, depending on where legalization is available. And I'll be diving into that this Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific. So come check out.
All right. You can find me at NFL Caleb 22 on you call it. And then you can find me at 3 o'clock. Doing good friends, better rivals with Ferris, talking Cowboys and Giants like we do every week. Thank you all for watching. Like I said, good luck with all your bets. Hopefully you guys win some money this season because it's getting close. It's getting close. To we have just Labor Day weekend, and we'll be right into betting season, and that is my favorite season. So can't wait to win some money this season. Can't wait for you guys to win some money this season. But for now, like I always say, let's get ready to make that money.